Yeah, in my experience, the most reliable resource for misunderstandings and opposing points of view is foreign travel. And as an example, I'd like to give you the highlights of the first 12 hours on my first trip to India. Now, don't be misled when I say first trip, because I've only been twice. And the first trip was for 3 days to set up the second. 18 and a half hours travel time. I looked that up in my journals, and it occurred to me when I saw it, if you've got a minute, when I saw that, that getting old is a lot like jet lag, and so long distance travel helps prepare you for it. And I didn't realize it at the time. But anyway, 18 and a half hours, DC to Delhi. And we landed after midnight. And now, because it was only 3 days, I had everything I needed in my carry-on. So I did not have to wait for the baggage. Grabbed the bag, walked straight through customs, and on my way out. Now, the next thing was that I had to look for my ride. My trip was sponsored by the State Department at the request of the embassy. And so the embassy made all the arrangements, and they were going to provide me with a driver. So I'm coming out, and I'm looking, how do you find someone in a whole airport that you've never met? But the Indians at the airport had made provision for that. They had a pathway cordoned off that funneled passengers straight through to the sidewalk. So I go through the terminal, make a little turn, and come out the door, and at the doorway, the wall of the terminal is on the right, it stretches out that way. On the left is the street, sidewalk, and about 8 or 9 people waiting. 2 of them had signs, and nobody was for me. So, but that wasn't so bad. I mean, I got through quickly, and straight ahead were, in fact, like we have here, rows of chairs about 15 feet in front of me. Evidently for people waiting for the buses, they had these rows of chairs. So I just walked straight over to the first row, sat down in the center, and I knew that facing the doorway, there's no other place to wait for passengers. I would have no trouble spotting the embassy person when they arrived. And I knew that they would have no trouble spotting me, because I was the only white face waiting on the sidewalk. And to top that off, I was wearing a Panama hat to continue the tradition of Spencer Tracy and Clark Gable and all those great guys who introduced me to foreign travel when I was watching the old movies. So I have my hat. And I'm sitting in the chair. And I wait, and then the rest of the passengers from my flight came through, and they left, and I waited. And then I guess another flight came down, and they passed through the door, and I was waiting. And after an hour and a half, I thought it was time for plan B. So I went, I had the phone number for the embassy. Not a problem. Go back inside the terminal, look around for a phone, nothing on the main floor, go up on the second floor. I found a 12-year-old boy at a card table with a phone in front of him. And he had the concession, obviously, so I go to him and gave him the phone number, and he dialed it, and there was no answer. I said, there's got to be an answer. There are people at the embassies 24 hours a day. There's always an answer. Try it again. He tried it again. There was no answer. So I thought, well, anything could happen, bathroom break, who knows. So I walked around the terminal for about 5 minutes or so. I came back and asked the kid to try it again. And he did, and there was still no result. And he said, sir, you know they changed the phone numbers in the city. Changed all the phone numbers. I said, maybe you have the old number. Well, I said, yeah, we have a phone book. And he said, no. So then I walked around the terminal looking for an open counter or office or someplace that might have a phone book. I didn't find anything or anyone. It's after midnight. But I did find one of these little tourist booklets. You know, the kind that has like half a page of events going on and 30 pages of advertising. So I thought they might have, since this is the capital, they might have the embassy, and I'll go through there. Nothing. Well, it's only about 6 hours till the embassy opens for business, and I've spent the night in airports before. Not a big deal. I found some areas where there's some seating. I sat down and prepared to wait. And then with nothing else to do, I looked through the booklet again, and flipping through the pages, I stopped on an ad that had the phone number for that business in big, bold, block, yellow numbers right across the center of the graphic. And I just stared at it, hoping it would speak to me. And it kind of did, because I realized there's something different about this number and my number. And I pulled it out, And sure enough, this one had 2 more digits than the number I had. So then I flipped through looking at the phone numbers for other places in the booklet, and they all had the same 2-digit prefix. Ah, when the kid said they changed all the numbers, I thought he meant they changed all the numbers, but no, maybe not. So I went back upstairs, gave him the number with the 2-digit prefix. He dialed it, got the Marine Guard. Minutes later, I'm in the hotel, and I check in, I go up to my room, except it's not a room, it is a suite. I have a living room, I have a dining room, I have a bedroom, I have a complimentary bathrobe and slippers and a big bowl of fruit on the table, and I know this is not within per diem. But I do not understand the exchange rate right now, and I've only got about 4 hours of sleep anyway, so hit the bed. In the morning I go down to the counter and I tell them, A, you've got to put me in a cheaper room, and B, I'm not paying for the one last night. I'm only going to pay per diem rate, because the embassy gave you the rate, and every hotel in the world knows the U.S. per diem rate, because they charge that to the penny everywhere. And so the manager came out and he assured me, oh, very sorry, lots of Americans like this room, I would take care of it. He says, you don't have to move, stay there, my compliments, I will adjust the bill. Wonderful. Okay, now this was the second misunderstanding, but it looked like this one was going fairly well. Of course, now to jump to the end, spoiler alert, he didn't adjust the bill. And I had to threaten him with sanctions to get it down where it was supposed to be. But now I go out, and I've got a car waiting, and the driver is angry at me. You got me in trouble, sir. What did I do? He says, told him I was not here to pick you up. I was here, I came to get you at the airport. You said I did not come and got me in trouble. So I asked him what happened. And apparently because I came through the airport so quickly, he had not counted on that. He arrived a little after that. He had a sign. He stood there facing the door with my sign. I'm sitting 15 feet behind him. So I asked him, I said, well, before you left, he said he was there for half an hour. I said, before you left, why didn't you turn around to see if I was waiting on the sidewalk? Well, that's not the point, sir. I'm married, I have children, this is a good job, I need this, and you got me in trouble. Okay. So I apologize for that, but at least now I'm going to the embassy. We'll get things straightened out. They've got my schedule of appointments and people I'm going to see. And I get there and I meet my contact. By the way, if you've never been to the embassy in Delhi, it's gorgeous. Most attractive embassy I've ever seen. Beautifully laid out, nice courtyard, pool, reflection pool, all that. Anyway, I meet my contact there, and he says, you came at a bad time. He said, this is an Indian national holiday, and there will be no one in the offices for you to meet today and tomorrow. I said, this is a 3-day trip. We've been planning it for months. Why didn't you tell me it was an Indian national holiday? And he says, well, these were the dates you gave me, and we try to be accommodating. Now, I don't want you to think badly of either the country India or of the State Department, because these things did work out, as they tend to do. And I got through this trip, and I came back later for 3 weeks in Mumbai. And that trip was very successful also, except, of course, for the weekend when I had dysentery, and that was educational.